You can hardly walk down the aisle in a bookstore these days, the food aisle, and not encounter the word superfood. All kinds of books, superfood, super herbs, super juices, all kinds of things. What does it mean? Well, I think we all have a sense of what it means. A superfood is a food that has some sort of health property beyond just simple nutrition. Although it really is a marketing term, it's not a scientific term. But where does this term come from? Who invented the word superfood? It actually is not easy to trace this. When you start looking into it, many references point to the 1920s, when a scientist by the name of Sidney Haas discovered that children who suffered from celiac disease could be treated with bananas. And this launched what today we think of as the whole superfood empire. In 1932, an article in the New York Times referred to it and actually had bananas in the title and sang the praises of bananas. And that initiated all kinds of marketing ventures about bananas. But the thing is that they got it really wrong. It is true that bananas were good for children who suffered from celiac disease because they don't contain any gluten. And it's not that bananas were any kind of miraculous drug. But most references claim that this was the beginning of the superfood era, although the word superfood was never mentioned in connection with bananas. So who first mentioned the word? Well, my contention is that it first appeared in 1990 in this book. And it was by a British naturopath, osteopath by the name of Van Straten. And in it, he described specific properties attributed to foods. For example, asparagus, as you can see, was supposed to be good for liver disease. And you had up here radishes, which were good for gallbladder. And apples supposedly lowered cholesterol. And this really was the birth of the superfood era using the term superfood. But how did it get so famous? What an interesting connection that is. And that connection is through Barbara Cartland, who was one of the most famous writers in Britain of romance literature. She was really a very, very interesting person, and she bridged her writing into nutrition as well. And she wrote books about vitamins, vitality, etc. She sang the praises of honey, and she also had books about the benefits of food to increase the sex drive. However, when her husband died, she wrote an article about how despondent she was. And Van Straten, the author of the Superfood book, read that. And he sent her a sample of this, Biostrath, which was a product that was produced in Switzerland, made from nutritional yeast. And he claimed that this would invigorate her. Well, I guess she must have liked it, because she called Van Straten and they became great friends. And because Barbara Cartland had such a huge name and began to write about all this stuff, it made Van Straten famous. The two of them even started a store, the original health food store in London, where they sold all kinds of fruits and vegetables that were said to be organic and said to have all kinds of health properties. And of course, they also promoted the Biostrath. So that really was the beginning of the whole superfood movement. Now you see the word superfood everywhere. But as I said, this is really a marketing term. It doesn't have any legal meaning at all. And the truth is that there are no superfoods. There are good diets and there are poor diets. We know that a good diet should incorporate lots of fruits and vegetables. But today, marketers, of course, hype up any aspect of nutritional research that they can find that says something beneficial about a specific food. And as you probably know, blueberries, of course, are a mainstay of the superfood movement. Yes, it's true, they contain a lot of antioxidants, they contain anthocyanins, bioflavonoids, and you can find studies that say, that these have all kinds of health benefits. But there is really very little clinical evidence. What we know is that we should be eating lots of fruits, lots of berries, lots of vegetables anyway. So, what can legitimately be called superfood? I think only the food that Superman eats can be called a superfood. And I suppose he probably likes blueberries.